All right, so I'd like to address the popular conversation now that people are having. And the words come from two different sources. You'll either hear creative financing or you'll hear terms. Either one of those simply means that you're selling non conventionally. Since the 1600s, if you pick up a book by Anderson Cooper where he talked about the Vanderbilt family, his family down in Newport, Rhode Island, he talked about them buying real estate in the 1600s prior to banking. So I want you to know that creative financing is not by any means new. And creative financing means that you're not going to sell through a conventional buyer, getting a loan conventionally at a bank, and then coming in and purchasing your property. Now, one way to do this is by selling on owner financing or seller financing, whereby you're going to be receiving monthly payments. That's usually great if you have no loan on your property and you're free and clear. You could also sell via a lease purchase, which is great for someone who has a loan in place and wants to lock in some of their equity that might not be there if they had sold on the conventional market. Whether that's because you're paying a realtor or paying closing costs or you just can't get your price, whatever the reason may be. There's another way now for you to sell, which is also called subject to existing financing, whereby your loan does stay in place and you're able to still sell. Each one of these methods are explained in a little bit more detail in other videos on the website. But let me summarize by saying for creative financing or for in terms, for you as a seller, you're going to be served if you don't need your cash right now. So if you're someone that because of a family reason or other reasons, you need to take any and all of that equity out of your property and move it to another property, we're not your buyer and creative financing doesn't work. Now, if you're someone that you can wait for your equity and perhaps almost on every occasion get more for the property if you wait, then the creative financing is a great route for you to go. Now, important stats for you to know why creative financing is so immensely popular right now and growing in popularity. So, if you look back to the early 90s, about 2 or 3% of the transactions were done outside of banks. I don't have a legitimate stat that I can quote, but I can tell you that the amount of deals done outside of banks non-conventionally, creative financing on terms, has grown every single year and has become super popular now with all of the banking challenges. Especially this recent change we had from low interest rates to skyrocket high interest rates, it's literally put probably tens of thousands of buyers to the side. You had families that had their hearts set on one home or a neighborhood or a town when rates were, 3, 4, 5%. And then when they jumped up, it pushed them out of the market. So right now, statistically, as of the time of this filming, if you speak with any top mortgage broker who writes 50 to 100 loans a year, they'll tell you that out of all of their applicants, about 17 to 20%, so 17 to 20 out of 100 applicants, can qualify for a loan in their current condition. That leaves a lot of buyers, 80 to 83%, that can't qualify. Now, if that number changes a little bit over time, it's not going to be drastic. So what if 30% were qualifying? That's still a very small number and leaves 70% of buyers on the table. Banks are very difficult, we all know that, and getting more difficult to work with from an underwriting standpoint. Now, why do some of these buyers deserve a home still? Well, the buyers who we deal with specifically have had one of two things. Either a legitimate life event, so it could be COVID, it could be death, it could be divorce, it could be a number of different things. And because of that, they had to fix their credit, which requires time. Secondly, you've got an enormous amount of the population, especially since COVID, who left corporate America and went to start their own business. Well then, when they do that, many of them didn't realize or don't realize that even if they have great credit and they have cash in the bank, which makes them great buyers, they still can't qualify for a loan today. They need what the bank calls 2 years of seasoning or 2 consecutive years of IRS tax returns. To make matters a little bit even more challenging, I'm making up words there, even more challenging for you as a seller and why the need for creative financing is going up and up is that the Wall Street Journal reported that 20% of closings are fractured. Now, a fractured closing is defined as a closing that comes to the closing table, presumably the buyer and everything else looked good, but they die, they fall apart for whatever reason it may be. So here you have a seller that was on the market for, say, 30, 60, 90 days, and then it went into escrow. And it was the 30 days, let's say 40, whatever the time frame was, and then it dies. You just wasted almost a half a year, and who knows what the market does in the meantime. So for that reason alone, I want to address the option of creative financing and work to help you understand what each one of these options are. Most importantly, though, just send me an email at Allison, Allison, at mountainvalleyconsulting.net, and we can get on the phone and chat about your specific situation and if it's something we'd like to buy. I hope that helps explain everything, and please don't hesitate to reach out.